Your first $1,000 is the most important money you will ever have. Not because $1,000 is a lot. In the grand scheme of building wealth, it is not. But because of what you decide to do with it. That one decision made early can either start a chain reaction that builds your entire financial future, or it can quietly disappear and leave you exactly where you started. Most people get this decision wrong, not because they are careless, but because nobody ever sat them down and told them the truth about what your first $1,000 should actually do for you. Today, I am going to change that. Stay until the end, because the last step is the one that makes everything else multiply. Here's something most people never consider. Your first $1,000 is not just money. It is proof that you can save, proof that you can delay gratification, proof that your future self matters more to you than your present impulses. That proof, that identity, is worth more than the $1,000 itself. Think about the psychology of it. Before you had that $1,000, you were someone who spent everything that came in. The moment you have $1,000 saved, you become someone different. You become someone who builds, someone who plans, someone who has the beginning of a financial foundation. Warren Buffett saved his first $1,000 at age 14 from delivering newspapers and selling golf balls. He did not spend it on things that felt good in the moment. He invested it, that $1,000, through decades of compounding, became the foundation of one of the greatest fortunes in history. Now, I am not telling you that your first 1,000 will turn you into Warren Buffett, but I am telling you that how you treat your first $1,000 will teach you habits that determine your entire financial future. Treat it like it matters, because it does. Before I tell you what to do with your first 1,000, I need to tell you what most people do, because understanding the mistake is half of avoiding it. The most common thing people do when they finally save $1,000 is spend it. And I do not mean on something terrible. I mean on something that feels completely reasonable in the moment. A new phone, a weekend trip, new clothes for a fresh start, a celebration dinner that turns into a celebration week. And here is the sneaky part. These purchases feel justified. You worked hard for this money. You deserve to enjoy it. You will save again next month. But next month brings new expenses, new justifications, and the $1,000 that could have been the beginning of your financial foundation becomes a memory instead. The second most common mistake is slightly better, but still wrong. People put the $1,000 in a regular savings account, earning almost nothing, and feel responsible. Meanwhile, inflation quietly eats away at its value every single month. Do not make either mistake. Keep watching. Step 1. Before you invest a single dollar, build your emergency fund. I know, this is not exciting. Emergency funds do not make you feel like an investor. They do not have impressive returns, they just sit there. And that is exactly the point. Here is what an emergency fund actually does. It protects every other financial decision you make. Without one, the moment life throws something unexpected at you, a medical bill, a car repair, a job loss, you are forced to either go into debt or liquidate your investments at the worst possible time. With an emergency fund, unexpected expenses become inconveniences instead of catastrophes. Financial experts recommend 3 to 6 months of living expenses, but if you are just starting with $1,000, start with a smaller goal. $500 in a dedicated high-yield savings account, not your regular checking account, a separate account you do not touch. That separation matters psychologically. Out of sight, out of impulse, $500 set aside for emergencies only. That is your shield. Build it first. Step 2. If you have high interest debt, kill it before you invest. This is one of the most important financial decisions you can make, and most people get it backwards. They want to start investing while carrying credit card debt, charging them 20, 25, sometimes 30% interest annually. Here's the math that makes this obvious. The stock market historically returns an average of around 10% per year. Your credit card is charging you 25% per year. You cannot outinvest a 25% guaranteed loss. Paying off high interest debt is the highest guaranteed return you will ever get. If you pay off a credit card charging you 25% interest, you just earn 25% on that money. No stock, no fund, no investment on earth consistently gives you that. So if you have high interest debt, credit cards, payday loans, anything above 15%, take a portion of your $1,000 and attack it directly. Kill the debt, then invest. In that order, always. Step 3, invest in yourself before you invest in the market. This step surprises people, but hear me out. Before your money can grow in the market, you need to grow your ability to earn more money, because the bigger your income, the more you can invest. And the more you invest, the faster everything compounds. What does investing in yourself look like with a portion of your first $1,000? A course that directly upgrades a skill that earns you money, a certification that immediately increases your salary, a book that teaches you a framework that changes how you think about business and money. Not a hobby, not something vague, something with a direct line to more income. Warren Buffett has said the best investment he ever made was in public speaking courses in his 20s. That investment in himself multiplied his earning power by more than any stock ever could. Your best asset is you. Invest there first. Step 4. Open your first investment account. Today. Not tomorrow. Today. This step stops more people than any other, not because it is complicated, but because it feels intimidating. Where do I open it? What do I choose? What if I make the wrong decision? Here is what I want you to understand. The wrong decision is not opening one at all. Every day you wait is a day compound interest is not working for you. For most people, starting with their first $1,000, the best starting point is a simple brokerage account or a retirement account like a Roth IRA if you are in the United States. Many platforms now have 0 minimum deposits, 0 trading fees. You can start with literally $1. The platform matters far less than the habit of starting. Open the account, fund it with whatever portion of your 1,000 you have allocated for investing, then keep it open and keep adding to it every single month. The account is just the door. Opening it is the most important step. Step 5. Put your investment money into index funds, not individual stocks, not cryptocurrency, not the hot tip your friend told you about. Index funds. Here is why. An index fund is a basket that holds hundreds or even thousands of companies at once. When you buy an index fund tracking the S&P 500, you are buying a tiny piece of 500 of the largest companies in America simultaneously. This does 2 powerful things. First, it diversifies your risk. If one company fails, it barely affects your total investment. Second, it captures the average growth of the entire market. And historically, the market has gone up an average of 10% per year over long periods. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor in history, has publicly and repeatedly said that most people should simply invest in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund and leave it alone. Not because he cannot do better, but because he knows most people cannot either. And trying often makes things worse. Simple, diversified, low cost, long term. That is the index fund strategy. It is not exciting. It is not supposed to be. It is supposed to be wealth building. And it works. Step 6. Once your money is invested, do not touch it. This sounds obvious. It is not, because the market will drop, sometimes dramatically. And when it drops, every instinct in your body will tell you to pull your money out before it gets worse. Do not. Here is what actually happens when markets drop. Inexperienced investors panic and sell, locking in their losses permanently. Patient investors hold and wait for the inevitable recovery. And historically, the market has always recovered. Every single time. The people who lost money in the stock market are almost exclusively the people who sold during a downturn. The people who held, even through crashes, came out significantly ahead. Think of your investment like a bar of soap. The more you touch it, the smaller it gets. Set a rule for yourself right now. This money does not exist for 10 years. It is planted. It is growing. And you will not dig it up just because there is a storm. Step 7. Here's exactly how I would split a first $1,000. $500 to your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. This is your protection, your shield. The thing that prevents you from going into debt when life happens. $200 to pay down any high-interest debt. Even a small payment chips away at the interest eating your future income. $100 invested in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. This is your first real investment. It will feel small. Do it anyway. The habit matters more than the amount right now. $100 invested in yourself. A course, a book, a certification, something with a direct line to more income for you specifically. $100 kept as a buffer in your checking account. This prevents you from going into overdraft and paying unnecessary fees that quietly steal your money. That is $500, $200, $100, $100, $100, $1,000, fully deployed. Every dollar working for a specific purpose. Step 8. Automate everything and then forget about it. Once you have deployed your first $1,000 using the split strategy, set up automatic systems so the next 1,000 and the one after that flow into the same places without you having to think about it. Automatic transfer to high-yield savings every payday. Automatic investment contribution every month. Automatic extra debt payment every 2 weeks. Remove yourself from the equation, because every time you have to make a manual decision about where your money goes, you create an opportunity for your emotions to make the wrong call. The wealthy do not succeed because they are more disciplined than everyone else. They succeed because they built systems that make the right financial decisions automatically, whether they feel like it or not. Your first 1,000 was the hardest to save. The system you build around it will make every 1,000 after that almost effortless. Build the system, then let it run. Now let me tell you what some of the wealthiest people in history did with their first significant savings. Warren Buffett invested his first savings into productive assets, stocks, and small business investments. Before most of his peers had saved anything at all, he was not waiting for the perfect moment. He was not waiting to understand everything. He started. Jeff Bezos used early savings not to live lavishly, but to fund the earliest version of Amazon, operating out of a garage because he reinvested everything back into building. Oprah Winfrey has spoken about how her first real savings went into education and skill development, building the communication and media skills that would eventually make her a billionaire. The pattern is not complicated. The wealthy use their first savings to either invest in assets, invest in themselves, or build something. They did not use it to celebrate having saved. They used it as fuel. Your first 1,000 is fuel. What you choose to fuel is the decision that matters. Here's the compounding truth that most people discovered too late. $1,000 invested at age 22 in a low-cost index fund with an average annual return of 10% will be worth approximately $38,000 by age 65, without adding a single additional dollar. Wait 10 years to start, and that same $1,000 invested at 32 becomes only $15,000 by 65. Same amount, same return, just 10 years later. The difference of $23,000 from a single 10-year delay. Now imagine not just $1,000, but consistent monthly contributions on top of that foundation. The numbers become life-changing, not because of how much you invested, but because of when you started and how consistently you kept going. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said those who understand it earn it, those who do not pay it Your first $1,000 is not just money, it is time. And time in investing is the most powerful force you will ever use. Your first $1,000. Emergency fund. Kill high interest debt. Invest in yourself. Open an investment account. Index funds. Leave it alone. Split it strategically. Automate everything. And understand that the time you start matters as much as the amount you invest. 8 steps. $1,000. The beginning of everything. You do not need more money to start building wealth. You need to start building wealth with the money you have. And now you know exactly how. The version of you that is financially free did not wait until they had more. They started with what they had. They built a system, and they let time do the rest. If this video gave you something real, something you are going to act on today, subscribe, because every single week I come back with more of the financial truths they never taught us in school. Start with 1,000, build from there. I will see you in the next one.